Hey everyone, it's time for Good Week Israel, where we'll bring you the most positive highlights from this week at ILTV. Get ready to smile because coming up, the truth is out there. We're just not ready for it. Or at least so says a retired Israeli general on Life Amongst the Stars. Space IL prepares for its second attempt at landing on the moon. And finally, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu gets a taste of the future today. Have you heard of the Jerusalem Challenge, inspired by the song Jerusalema by South African DJ master KG? Well, the song topped the local charts in December 2019 and again in February, with everyone wanting to learn the catchy dance. Finally, after going viral around the globe for months, the dance challenge has finally arrived at its intended destination. Jerusalem Mayor Moshe Leon, along with Holocaust survivors, elementary school students, youth from both East and West Jerusalem, university students, and municipality workers can be seen dancing together in this video. Take a look. All right, this next story is literally out of this world. Space IL, the legendary independent group behind Israel's failed attempt to land a spacecraft on the moon last year, is back at it again. The company taking to Twitter to tease their second landing attempt. And the short video simply reading, "Ready to get excited again?" Well, I, for one, am very excited, as are many other Israelis. Of course, we've all already been ready to get excited since the first Bereshit, or Genesis, lander crashed into the moon's Sea of Serenity in April 2019, followed then by Space IL's immediate announcement of work towards the Bereshit 2. Though early predictions were thought that the project would take about 3 years to complete. So this is certainly a welcomed announcement to end a year that has otherwise been filled with some very harsh realities. All right, moving on, break out the theremin because this next story is just begging for a spooky sci-fi background. After 30 years at the helm of the Israeli space security program, and after receiving 3 Israeli security awards, retired Israeli general and respected professor Chaim Eshed is now unveiling that yes, there are aliens among us, yes, Israel has made contact with them, and no, humanity is not ready for it. The 87-year-old Eshed was clear in his recent interview with Yediot Ahronot News that he is not talking about immigration, but a galactic federation complete with an underground base on Mars, where there are American and alien representatives present. He also explains that President Trump both knows about them and was on the verge of disclosing their existence, only to be persuaded not to by the federation itself in order to avoid a mass hysteria and panic. Apparently, humanity still has a long way to go before we can understand the gravity of their presence. The final question then, however, is what do they want? But perhaps thankfully for us, Eshed says it's essentially just to research and understand the fabric of the universe. Next, an Israeli innovation is here to rescue us from 2020. We are forced to make lots of changes this year, including how we learn. The education system has been turned upside down, and we're still trying to figure out how to cope with remote learning. One of its biggest challenges being cheating. Now, an Israeli company called Tomax has developed an artificial intelligence software that can detect whether a student is being dishonest. Originally developed for in-person exams, the adapted software records all activities taking place in the said room in order to catch anomalies. There are already several post-secondary institutions in talks to buy the software and use it for online exams. There has been more than one big event this year inspiring Israelis to be creative. The Abraham Accords, for one, has allowed Israelis to experience the culture of some of the Arab Gulf states, including the United Arab Emirates and vice versa. From the 6th to the 10th of December, over 1,200 exhibitions from over 60 visiting countries are on full display at the Dubai World Trade Center, and excitement levels are through the roof for the 2020 annual JITEC Computer and Electronics Trade Show. But maybe more excited than any are the Israeli delegations seen roaming the conference halls in celebration of the new Abraham Accords normalization.
Actually very exciting. It's been a long time that we in Israel are waiting for this peace to come, and we're very happy, and personally I feel very blessed to be here in this amazing country.
Meanwhile, Emirati business owners similarly giddy at the new prospects for future collaboration and trade with Israel.
As we see more and more the infrastructure in Israel, the port facilities, will allow us to link our ports in Europe to the Middle East. This is in line with our new strategy of end-to-end solutions of trade enabling and logistics.
And Israeli foreign ministry officials then likewise outlining their hopes for our two nations' futures.
I think the common challenge for both our economies create new opportunities. And there is so much that can be done, and it incentivizes us to do more in order to collaborate, in order to find solutions together, in order to bring prosperity to our economies, because we are all affected by the economic impact of the pandemic. So this is a time for collaboration.
All right, in related news, the Abraham Normalization and Peace Accords doing more for Israel and the UAE than just improving trade relations. This is an Emirati royal is now trying to extend the peace through cultural exchanges and sports. Hannah Rifkin with the story.
The Beitar Jerusalem Soccer Club has long been plagued by racist anti-Arab ideologies expressed by a small minority of their fan base, known as La Familia. But the whole club is now set to get a major change of face, as 50% of the club transfers to its new owner, Emirati royal family member of Abu Dhabi, Sheikh Hamad bin Khalifa Al Nahyan. Further, as one of Al Nahyan's first actions as co-owner, the club will now be more open to recruiting Arab players, another move likely to anger the La Familia crowd. But far from alienating fans, Al Nahyan says he hopes this will lead to a peace through mutual understanding, with co-owner Moshe Hogeg agreeing wholeheartedly.
If you look at the age of this group, actually they're all youngsters, you know. So I think between 16 and 22. I think they're misled, okay, and brainwashed, okay, and I think they are on the dark side. I think we should extend our hand to them and show them the light and the right path.
This racism is a result of ignorance. From one side, we want to light and stop this brainwash and show them, not by talking, by example, that Jews and Muslims can do beautiful things together, as I mentioned before. From the other side, we don't have tolerance for violence or for extreme racism. No tolerance for this.
Meanwhile, in meetings opposite Slovenian Prime Minister Janez Janša, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu hailed the news as a symbol of the new post-Abraham Accords reality.
It tells you how things are changing so rapidly, and I hope that you can facilitate in your role as in the EU presidency to have the EU understand that this is a different world and there are different opportunities, different alliances for the good, for the better.
And now get ready to taste the future as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu becomes the first known world leader to eat cultural, cruelty-free meat. Hannah Rifkin reporting.
אני מאוד מתרגש מזה.
האמת שזה באמת יום מרגש.
לא יאומן. איך אומרים? טעים עם חמלה.
טעים עם חמלה.
ונקי. זה משהו מדהים. לא רע בכלל.
And just like that, with one taste, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu became the first world leader known to eat and get hooked on meat grown in a lab. And the premier getting a taste for the future meat industry in this landmark visit to olive farms where the incredible technology is being developed.
באמת יש פה אמירה חדשנית, העתיד כבר כאן. אתה בתור בן אדם שידוע בידע הטכנולוגי, ברצון לקדם את כלכלת מדינת ישראל, אנחנו יכולים לראות פה בדיוק את מה שאנחנו מדברים עליו.
אין כאן שום הבדל. שום הבדל.
יואו, זה פשוט מדהים.
And in fact, the technology really does have the ability to change Israel and soon the world. Olive Farms Associates explaining the potential.
קופסאות עם הרבה מאוד מבחנות, בכל מבחנה יש כמה מיליונים של תאים, ובמבחנה כזאת בעצם שאנחנו רואים כאן.
אנחנו עושים את זה, וזה גם לחסוך המון זיהום, המון סבל, בסופו של דבר להוריד את המחיר, ולייצר תעשייה חדשה לאנושות, ולתת לאנשים את הברירה.
בדיוק.
לפעמים אין ברירה, אבל כשיש לך את הברירה ומייצרים כאן את הברירה, זה דבר מאוד מאוד משמעותי לדעתי. דבר שיש לו השלכות באמת ארוכות טווח, ואני פשוט קודם כל גאה בכם שאתם עוסקים בזה, ואני מתכוון לעזור לכם. אני חושב שמדינת ישראל צריכה להיות מובילה במהלך הזה. היום זה יום שני? כן. ממש meatless Monday.
All right, next ILTV went to check out the Hanukkah exhibition, which showcases Hanukkah menorahs from different Jewish communities. Take a look.
The Jewish people come from all over the globe, each with their own culture and traditions. And today we're going to explore this diversity by visiting an awesome Chanukiah exhibition, which showcases over 60 Chanukiot, each from its own Jewish community.
Found in every Jewish home, Hanukkah menorahs can be as diverse as the cultures of those who created them. Each one reflects its own artistic style of the Jewish communities around the world.
Now, I always thought a traditional menorah just had 8 candles and a shamash, and that's it. But I see there are many different ways of designing the menorah.
We called it in Hebrew Chanukiah. It is dedicated to the memory of victory of the Maccabees.
Every year since the miracle of Hanukkah, the Jewish people have lit the menorah no matter where in the world they've resided.
This is why you can really see so many styles, but the main thing is in the whole world, everybody, all the Jewish community light candles to remember the miracle in the temple in Jerusalem.
The exhibition is divided into sections based on regions of origin. We started out with North African countries where many Jews once lived.
Now, the Chanukiot were typically made out of what material?
The Chanukiot are made from various materials. In North Africa, there's mainly brass. And this is a very easy material to work with. In Western Europe, there's many Chanukiot made of silver.
The original menorah, which stood in the Holy Temple in Jerusalem, was made of pure gold and reached 2 meters in height. The Hanukkah lamps from the Islamic countries were made by craftsmen who were experienced in traditional Moroccan techniques and designs.
So this is a really unique wall of Chanukiot. You don't see this type in every home, I don't think.
Right. It was done in Jerba, in North Africa. The main inspiration was the Muslim mosque. So they looked for a very, very elaborate building and they adjusted.
That's why it has these rounded rooftops.
Yes, and you see the arabesque arched, and also you see the symbol of the Ottoman Empire. I also think this is a wonderful piece which really reflects what happened to the Jews around the world.
I'm noticing that all of the Chanukiot in this North African section were used with oil.
Yes, because the oil is more popular and exists in this area, and so they are using this shape.
In the European section of the exhibition, you'll find some minor modifications which have been done to the menorahs.
This type of Chanukiot has 4 legs to be used next to the window to publish the miracle.
Opposed to the menorahs found in Islamic countries, which were often hung on the wall.
These Chanukiot, you could see that has way more detail than we've seen so far.
Of course.
The appearance of Jewish symbols can also be seen on these menorahs, such as the symbol of the lion, the 10 Commandments, and the original menorah seen on the Holy Temple.
What I want to know is, where did all of these Chanukiot come from? How did the collection begin?
Let's start and go to the beginning of this collection.
So this is the Chanukiah that started it all.
Yes. This Chanukiah was presented to Pinchas and Drora Zakai as a present to the wedding. And when he got this Chanukiah, he started to be interested in the history of Chanukiot, and he decided to collect the Chanukiot that reflects the different countries in the exile.
A collection like this was only possible because the Jewish people have honored this tradition throughout time. Each year, a new generation learns of the miracle and keeps the holiday candles burning bright.
Ever wonder why your latkes aren't turning out as crispy and delicious as they should? Well, Danielle from kosher.com will tell you how to make them perfect every time with these tips and tricks.
The crunch don't stop. It's the best potato lack ever.
Hi everyone, it's Danielle back again on kosher.com with a really special holiday video for you. We are going to learn all the tips and tricks for making perfectly crispy, crunchy, delicious, yummy latkes. varieties of latkes out there, but really, at the end of the day, we want our mother's latke. We just don't know how to do it. I'm gonna show you how to take all of these tips and tricks and apply them to any recipe you have to get that perfect latke crispiness. The first thing we want to talk about is our clothing. I know that sounds crazy, but this is a legit tip. Grab an apron and stick it on. Frying creates lots of splatters, and we do not want tiny little oil splatters all over our clothing. Here we go. In this bowl, I have Idaho potatoes that I've peeled and left in cold water so that they don't turn brown. The first thing we want to do is take our potatoes, have a towel ready, and we're just gonna pat it dry. Water equals soggy. We want to eliminate as much water as possible. Personally, I like a grated potato for a latke because I think it provides maximum crispiness. Why? Because all of those little shreds that stick out of the edge of the latke turn into yummy bits of goodness because they get extra crispy. Okay, once all your potatoes are grated, we want to discard this water very carefully because all of that little white powder on the bottom, that's starch. We want that starch because starch equals crispiness. See all that white that's left in the bottom of the bowl? That's good stuff, we want that, so save that. Don't wipe the bowl. And let's get our potatoes right into the bowl with the starch. You want a thin style kitchen towel. You could just place it right into the bowl where you've been saving your potato starch. We're gonna add our potato into the center of the towel. We really, really wanna do this step. This is not a step that you wanna skip. And squeeze. See all that? That's good, that's exactly what we wanna see, and we can only really achieve that by straining out the water. We're gonna take our dried potatoes, pop them in the bowl. So now, you can already start to see the starch build up right here. We're gonna slowly discard of this water and keep all that goodness. All this starch that's left in the bowl, we're gonna scrape it up. We're gonna add it right into our grated potatoes. But wait, we're not done. There's still more starch somewhere. On our towel, we're gonna scrape up every bit of starch we can. I guess you can technically go into your cabinet and just add like a tablespoon of potato starch, but then you'd have to go and buy potato starch. And why? And let's get started on our latke mixture. I like to keep my latkes super simple. Egg, salt, and pepper, that's it. Pure flavor, it's all about the crispiness. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna just crack up 2 eggs. We're gonna go in with some salt. Remember, potatoes absorb a lot of salt, so don't be stingy. And of course, some coarse black pepper. Just gonna mix this all up. Make sure the starch that we added back into the potatoes gets incorporated, the egg, the salt, the pepper. You wanna really make sure to go down to the bottom because any starch that's settled, you wanna get in there and really incorporate. So what do we need to fry the perfect crispy latkes? I hope you read my article on kosher.com where I spoke about why a cooling rack is so essential to frying. Because you do not want to take your crispy latke and put it on a paper towel. The paper towel will absorb the oil, but then the latke will just sit on the absorbed oil and reabsorb it and not stay crispy. That's crazy. You want to get a cooling rack, put a piece of tin foil down underneath it for easy cleanup, stick the cooling rack right on top, boom. Latke, cooling rack, oil drip down, crispy latke. That easy. The last thing you need to make these happen is a carrot. It is delicious, but we are not eating it. We're gonna crack our carrot into little pieces, and we're gonna stick that into our oil. Put a carrot in with your oil, and it will keep all those little bits that come off the latke from turning the oil brown. We will not have to stop to change the oil at all throughout our frying process. I'm pouring in my oil. I like to really fill up the pan, but we're not looking to deep fry the latkes. We're gonna flip them anyways. We just want enough oil that the heat can distribute evenly. We want to control the temperature of our oil. So we're gonna set our fire to medium-high heat. Okay, here we go. We're gonna grab a pile of latkes, squeeze out any more juice. We're gonna pop it in away from us so that any splatters that occur that way. Okay, we got all our latkes in the pan. Make sure to add in your carrot, let them cook. Once your latkes start to get crispy on the edges like this, you know that they're ready to flip. I like to use 2 spatulas for this job. It just makes it easier. Look at that! That is perfect crispiness. Do you see those? Nothing is burnt. It is perfectly light, golden brown, crispy, delicious, fluffy on the inside. That is what we want. That is what we achieve by all these little steps and measures that we take. After about 2 or 3 minutes of cooking them on the second side, remove it from the oil very carefully and place it onto your cooling rack. We're gonna hit these hot, crispy latkes up with a little bit of salt right on top. And then it's time to serve them up. Crunchy on the outside, soft on the inside. The perfect potato latke. And boom, that's it, we're done. These tips and tricks can be applied to your favorite latke recipe. If you're looking for one because you don't have one, check right here on kosher.com. Thanks for watching, guys, and happy Hanukkah.
All right, well, that's it for today's Good Week Israel. I hope we've helped you start your week off with a smile. I'm Nittany Manson. We'll see you next week.